Welcome to the Compass Method, powered by Purpose and Plants, where science meets soul and thriving begins when you find your true north. Hosted by Dr. Yolanda Rivera-Caudill, a double board certified physician, mother of three, and founder of the Tiny Beat Lifestyle Medicine and Pediatric Clinic, and
Chelsea Dye, a certified lifestyle medicine coach, wellness strategist, and creator of Alchemist Untamed. This show brings the real science to real life, powered by our passion project, Purpose and Plan.
Each episode explores how small shifts in food, movement, mindset, and family life can create massive results. Together, Dr. Yolanda and I share a compass for better life, a grounded guide to plant-forward health, brain-body balance, and modern motherhood.
From pediatric wellness and family health to neuroscience, nutrition, and mindset mastery, we will help you pause with a purpose, align your habits with your values, and rediscover what it means to thrive.
Powered by Purpose and Plants, because thriving begins when you're powered by Purpose and Plants. Hi, I'm Chelsea Dye.
And I'm Dr. Yolanda Rivera-Caudill.
Welcome to the Compass Method, Purpose, Plants, and the Science of Realignment. We bring together the pillars of lifestyle medicine to help you live a healthier, happier life, one small step at a time. Today, we have a really excellent topic that we're both really excited about. And if you are joining us just as this episode releases, it'll be right about when school is going back, specifically college. So we are addressing something that a lot of families, especially in my peer network, are experiencing now when their kids go off to college for the first time.
Yes.
So today we'll be talking about some of the challenges and the opportunities that new college students have to shape a healthier, happier future, and how parents can help as well. So you are now, as a new college student, the CEO of your own health.
And that's exciting as it is scary.
Oh, so scary.
So it's all in a big nutshell. To be the leader of your life for the first time, you know, if you can make decisions that you don't have to think about where your parents are. This is your decision,
So it actually might be scarier for the parents than the
yes,
kids.
this is just as scary for the parents.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, you know, I know that a lot of the kids may have students that as they go to college may feel like they've been making a lot of their own decisions, but college is a completely different structure from for the majority of students, in that there's a lot of flexibility and freedom in schedule.
Yes.
Including sleep and school schedule.
Yes.
And
whole new world.
Yes, it is a whole new world.
Even for children like me, they're children for me always.
Yeah.
But even for me, I didn't have to stay in dorms. I don't have that experience. My husband did, but I didn't. So I stayed with family, which was wonderful. But it was a different experience. But the timing, the scheduling, it was definitely a new thing. Learning new people, meeting new people. So it's still an exciting time.
So we, true to form, will be discussing the pillars that we always discuss: movement, mindset, sleep, nourishment, and community. And these are all areas that we've done substantial research behind this topic. And these are all areas that actually pose challenge and opportunity for new students. And then a couple of other areas that showed up in the data were beyond the sleep and connection and nutrition and community and movement, were alcohol.
Absolutely.
And which, that can go hand in hand with community. I'm putting community in quotes.
That's correct.
But
yes.
it is definitely something that is alcohol and drugs. I think in this day and age, we need to look at substances as an additional. And then habit formation, which is part of all of the pillars. It's the foundation. But oftentimes when you're going from a regular traditional high school where habits are basically fed to you and you're forced, and then you're kind of out in the big blue sea and have an opportunity to create your own habits, it's a totally different world.
It is.
Yeah. So, before we dive in, is there anything else you want to say about the format of how we're going to go through?
No, we can't. We're going to talk about our pillars because this is the foundation of lifestyle medicine.
Mm-hmm.
But then we're going to recap with some ideas on how to deal with that. Children, students, as long as and the parents as well.
Yeah. So should we wait for the data until the end, or should we give it a couple? I think maybe giving a couple of pieces of
Go
data
ahead.
would be really helpful.
Yeah.
So sleep and grades. This is so these might be kind of showstoppers for you right now. So there are a lot of people that students that feel like all-nighters are valuable even in high school. That is not the case. So the data shows where wearables were used in tracking this a science and learning study, and they found that sleep duration, quality, and consistently encountered a 25% variance in academic performance. And all-nighters before an exam showed no benefit. The week or months before matter most. So the weeks and months matter most, which goes to habit formation and creating schedules. But that whole idea of all-nighters, not valuable.
I did so many thinking, and then and sometimes, like it happened to me, I was studying for this very hard chemistry test, and then I was pulling an all-nighter, caffeinated, and then I was so jittery and so anxious from the caffeine
Oh, for
that
sure. And likely
I
dehydrated.
couldn't sleep
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't study.
Oh.
So it was it was like the perfect storm. It was horrible.
But you
So
do that once and you learn.
I learned,
So
this
we
is
like
not
to
how you do it.
help you as a student and maybe
to
a
make these
parent.
mistakes.
Yes, exactly. A couple of other important facts to think about. More than 75% of the average student get less than 8 hours of sleep with every weeknight. 75% of the students in college get less than 8 hours of sleep. Well, between 6.5 and 8 hours are now looked at as the norm, but that's basically saying that the students are walking around with a sleep debt.
Yes.
And
Which is, I'm sorry, it was just important that they understand, like, by themselves, not because we're telling them or the parents are telling them, but what the difference is in the way they can accomplish things. And has a lot of value if they realize that.
Yes. And then the 2025 University of Connecticut pilot study found that dining hall breakfasts were measurably higher in sugar and lower in protein than lunch and dinner in the same dining
That's
hall.
not surprising.
Not at all. But what's challenging about that is so many students rely on breakfast as being one of the heartiest meals, which it can be such a valuable meal.
Absolutely.
But if they're loading their body with sugar and junk and processed things, that's a challenge. So we're going to revisit that as to how to address that and come up with an action plan. Loneliness is something that is a big issue for students, which seems unusual given they're in this sea of all of these students. But just because you're next to someone doesn't mean you're connected.
Yes.
So loneliness is one of the other things that has been studied, and there's a lot of data to support that college students in general in that age group are lonely.
Yes.
And
many don't feel that they belong.
Exactly. And then that goes to the belonging piece of data. About 65% of students agree or strongly agree that they feel they belong on campus, which is good, but that means that 35% feel like they don't belong. And that's a big percentage.
That is, yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be like that. There are many things that they can do. Again, being proactive and thinking ahead of time, that knowing that it is not abnormal to be like that, that this is, a lot of people feel like that, and knowing that there are steps that they can take.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And I think maybe one more piece of data that would be valuable, about 76% of students report moderate to high stress in the past 30 days. And this was a 2024 study, which was created by all of the colleges. And
stress messed up with everything.
Yeah. So, it's exacerbated by poor diet, poor sleep, poor habits. And
it infiltrates in all the pillars. Absolutely.
Exactly. So let's talk first about, should we talk about nutrition?
Let's start with nutrition.
Okay.
And, it's important that one of the biggest things they see is that they start consuming more ultra processed foods than they did before. Again, like you said, everything was kind of like standard for them. Like you come home and then you eat or whatnot, and now it's up to them. And then that includes lower fiber, skip breakfast or a very unhealthy breakfast, and more alcohol and emotional eating, less protein, less healthy proteins too. So it is a how do you say it? Like a perfect storm. Yes.
Right. And our in the United States, the population that consumes the highest percentage, and we've talked about this, of processed foods is the adolescent between, I believe, 14 and 19.
Yeah, because they
And
have the economical power to
yeah,
get that.
exactly. And so
So
if they've already become used to highly palatable ultra processed foods, and then they're at their fingertips, and arguably dining halls, many, even the really luxe ones, have good choices, but they have a lot of bad choices too. And deciphering what's good and what's bad can be a challenge. So the myth about the freshman 15, is it true or false?
Well, I remember being that it's true, but apparently more or less.
Yeah. Well, there is a weight gain
Yes.
between 2.5 to 3.5, roughly 2.4 to 3.4 pounds on average, not 15, or, depending on the study, 2 to 8 pounds. And only 10% of the population gain 15. But I think the number is actually irrelevant. What it's speaking to is that these habits, these bad habits,
It's going back to everything that we're talking about. Yeah, that's what is affected the most. It's just all these things.
Well, and the interesting thing about that is, just as we said, Dr. Yolanda and I don't count calories, we count plants, but that's not a mindset that a lot of younger people have. And when you set up habits where you're becoming accustomed to highly processed foods on a regular basis and have an erratic eating schedule, and maybe less than fiber-filled choices, then you're setting up patterns for your adult life as well.
And stress eating too.
Oh, stress eating is a huge one.
Yes. So I like this idea of not stressing to eat healthy. That's always important that but and having, again, planning ahead of time. These are things that I have to my disposal that are good for me. Give me energy, or they, for example, one of the things that I like, the idea is that if I plan for having something on the go in the morning that I can take with me for breakfast, I don't have time to go to the breakfast hall to get those options. In addition, I get a better option for my body, and I can get more sleep. So
I mean, that's a beautiful thing. So, here are some thoughts that I have. Most everyone has access to a Walmart or a Target near their store. And I know finances can be a challenge for some students. But what I found recently is at Target, and I'm not promoting any brand in particular, but I know a lot of students have access to that. At Target, they had a big container that was really reasonably priced of raw unsalted nuts with a variety. So there were like 8 different kinds in there. They had no oil, there were nothing. It might be really boring in theory, but having that in your dorm room that you can grab a little to-go container of, or a handful of, which is fiber, it's protein, it's easy, it's quick.
Good fat, protein, and the other thing, you can make it more interesting. You can put some raisins, you can put some chocolate chips in there and make it a little bit more used to mix it up home, because that's what we do. I make my own trail mix, and that's a good thing on the go. Overnight oats, you can do in a little refrigerator in a dorm, and you can tailor it to your taste buds in so many ways.
Well,
and that's on the go.
Exactly. And, I even think about, I'm not a huge proponent of protein powders on a regular basis, but there are some pretty clean ones that don't have added sugar. And that if you're in a big rush and you're going to have and you have a little blender, a little shakeable blender cup. You can throw that in there with some almond milk and, just shake it up. And while it's not the perfect thing, it's better than grabbing a cinnamon roll and
Or not having breakfast at all.
yeah, exactly. And then reaching lunch and being ravenous and making terrible decisions based
Exactly.
on the array of things that you're.
Another thing, like energy balls or something like that you can do, easy in a dorm also. Things like that. It's an easy thing. Again, you have to plan ahead.
Yes. But it's just a small amount of planning. And when you systematize it, especially if you have roommates and you can kind of do it with them, if you have a connection, not only does it form connection and community, but it can be something where maybe you make it all together and then,
And you can teach other kids. It empowers them.
Oh, for sure.
This is something I do. This works for me. It gives you more energy. It gives you more protein, and then you don't feel so bloated or whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. So let's move on to move
movement.
to movement. Yeah, move your body to move your mind. That's my motto. And this is something that's kind of shocking, but not surprising that movement is built into high school, and there's PE, even though there's arguably less PE than there should be. Most of the time, students are forced to move in some capacity, and many of them are student athletes in high school. But when they go to college, the majority of those athletes don't maintain the athletic teams.
Yes.
And so that means a dramatic decrease in what they're doing athletically.
I saw that. I've seen that a lot.
Yeah.
Athletes in school, in high school, they're not athletes in college, and they continue eating the same diet like as if they are, and that's one of the things.
Fewer than half of the college students in the U.S. Meet the physical activity guidelines, which is kind of horrifying when you think about it.
And it's interesting because they walk a lot. You walk a lot in campus. I mean, obviously, depending on how big the campus is, but many times you walk more than when you're in high school. But it's the whole thing. It's the whole package.
So for those who have not joined us on a regular basis, you may not know that Dr. Yolanda and I are very huge proponents of movement, not only for connection, because you can move in a class with a friend, but for brain health, to lower anxiety and depression, to improve executive function. And it's true that people who move more have higher GPAs. There's a correlation between that.
The brain benefits a lot.
Exactly. And so it's not about the weight. It's about the benefit of moving and setting up habits.
It's always about how you feel and how you see yourself performing. I always like to say, do the fun thing that also brings connection, because you have two pillars. You mix two pillars, physical activity and connection. And if you make it fun, more likely that it would last. And, whether it's a club of something like a bowling club or a walking club or, swimming, whatever is you consider dancing, learning a new dance. So those are the ways to think about not just I have to do exercise, but how can I connect, meet more people, and have fun. It has to be about fun. If you don't do it fun, it's not going to last.
No, exactly. That's absolutely true. And I think my daughter might kill me, but she's about to be in high school. And what I see is that there's a whole socializing between the genders at gyms. And so maybe you're going in and looking to socialize with someone who might be a love interest, but at the same time, you're doing something positive for you.
Yes.
So I'm seeing that. And I think, use that to your benefit. Maybe it's a better choice than a bar, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So remember, movement isn't about weight. It's about your brain health.
It's brain health, 100%.
And then that brings us to sleep,
Yes.
which is also about brain health and beyond.
Yeah, we mentioned that already. And the social jet lag is when you try to catch up over the weekend and then you mess up your sleep schedule during the weekdays. It's like if you travel to the other side of the country over the weekend. over and over again. Imagine
So-
what it does to your circadian rhythm.
Oh, it messes it up. So that's one thing that these college students are seeing, that we're seeing with them on a regular basis, is the social jet lag, which means that they're, doing all-nighters, going out wild and partying, or maybe not even going out wild, just staying up late for no really good reason. And then they're working to catch up, but your body does not like that. Your body likes consistency.
And one of the things that are so important for memory retention is sleep. This is where the brain does the work to keep that thing that you learn. So when they realize that you can retain more of the content that you studied when you have a good night's sleep, even if it's not, like the whole 8 hours, even if it's 7 hours, but your brain is going to function. If it is, but have some, and make it a priority that sleep is important for you to retain that knowledge.
Right. The REM cycle is where we consolidate memory. And so we have the deep cycle, which is about recovery and the glymphatic system. And, and then we have the REM cycle, which is so important for working through emotions and memory. So we need to get those full sleep cycles, which means, and the reason I bring this up, which means like, a nap and then a short amount of sleep doesn't necessarily do the same thing for your body, and you can't count that as 8 hours of sleep, and I think that's a college mentality
or sometimes, they sleep when they come from school, and then it's almost up.
So consistency beats anything else, and pick one realistic weeknight bedtime window. So you don't have to say I'm going to be in bed by 11.
Perfect.
Yep. So it might be between 11 and 12:15, depending on who you are and what you need, knowing that even if your class is not until 1 o'clock the next afternoon, that you're going to get up between 8 and 9 o'clock.
I was going to say, because the classes start so late, like, I can sleep more. No, try to wake up. Actually, if they make it the waking time more a priority than even the sleep time, they might start seeing a benefit on that.
Absolutely. So we're big, to recap, we're proponents of consistent sleep and wake time. But to your point, maybe you just make the wake time the consistent one, and then your body will want to go to sleep a little earlier. So students think that they're sacrificing sleep for grades with all-nighters. That goes back to something we were talking about. Research often suggests that they're sacrificing grades for poor sleep.
Yes.
So you're getting poor sleep and you're getting poor grades.
Exactly.
So, I mean, so if that's not proof enough in and of itself.
Yes. And then again, think of things that can help your sleep better if you need a dark room or whatever. But the breakfast is one of those things. If you want to have breakfast, plan ahead. Think of things that can ease your morning, so you can having your clothes ready, things like that can help your just a little bit more sleep time.
Well, and that kind of goes into habit. So just as you said, planning ahead is key when it comes to nutritious breakfast. Even planning what time the dining hall serves breakfast until, and you can kind of backtrack. You reverse engineer your day accordingly. But so if you were to, the night before, put out your clothes, put out a snack for yourself, plan your wake up time, have your water bottle ready, the morning will be so much more easeful. Not only are you setting positive habits, but you're setting something for you to look forward to, too.
And you might feel so much better in the morning.
You will feel so much better in the morning.
Yeah.
So, habit formation, and this is a tremendous opportunity, just as students become the CEO of their own life, to form new habits that will serve them far into the future. And we're looking to form good habits and not bad habits.
Yes.
So the idea that there's a 21-day sort of habit protocol, which is like 3 weeks, is not true.
It's not necessarily functioning.
No, it's roughly around, depending on the habit, around 66 days, which might sound really challenging for somebody who's looking to form a new habit. But then rethinking it, like your new habit should be teeny tiny.
Exactly. Yes.
Do it for 66 days to the point it's laughable.
Yes. Yes. So the habits have to be very, very small so it sticks. So it's more important the consistency than the amount, than the volume.
Yeah, like the water habit. Making sure that you're drinking sufficient amount of water every single day and tracking your water consumption. Now, hydration might seem so basic for some people, but for others, it's
Yes.
really super important. And then when you master that, you can move on to the next habit.
And then think about of all these pillars, which one is the easiest for you to incorporate and start with that. And then the other ones might follow.
They absolutely will, So habit stacking is good as well. So if you know you already have a
Yes.
positive habit, then adding another habit
I
on
love
top
habit
of that,
stacking.
is much easier. So if you know you already brushed your teeth, just as you've shared before, then you know that you're going to do squats when you brush your teeth because you're already doing that good habit. It's part of
Yes.
your routine.
Why would you stay there standing
Yeah,
and doing nothing?
exactly. And so, if something isn't resonating, though, I'm not a proponent of quitting. I'm not, I like to see things through, but if you are trying to form a new habit, whether you're a new college student or an adult, and it really just isn't sticking, maybe that's a sign that you should make it smaller, break it up, or choose
Or
another
try
pill.
something else.
Yeah,
Yes, or try
pillar.
something
Yeah.
else. Yes, because the fact that doesn't work, maybe that's not the way you want to do it, and you want to try another way.
Now stress
Let's talk about
management.
stress.
Oh.
Stress is one of those pillars that affects for good and for bad. Okay, so if you affects all of the pillars. Okay, so if you're not sleeping, it's gonna affect this. If you're not eating good, if you're not doing physical activity, but on the other way around, if you're doing that, it's gonna help your stress. So this is the beauty about the pillars in general, that they all intersect. But stress is one that can mess up big time, and it's gonna be stressful. You have if there's anything you can count on is that it's gonna be stressful. It's a difficult time. That is what is so exciting about college too.
Well, and just as you said, stress is good and stress is bad. Stress is something that can help us grow as human beings. Stressing a muscle can help your muscle get stronger. Stressing, stress of new environments can help you grow as a human. But repetitive long-term stress doesn't have to be there. And so choosing to first of all notice is a really important thing. What is creating this stress? And sometimes
Yes.
you might say, oh my gosh, I feel so anxious because I have this test. But when that is a repetitive pattern, maybe you feel so anxious about the test because you didn't prepare enough and you were staying up 2 nights in a row studying. And then that goes back to something foundational that you have total control over. So you can change your habit in order to lower your stress.
And think about things that the consistency of things that gave you calm, or there were a peace to your soul, like religion. Try to find a church in your area.
Oh, that's a beautiful idea.
Or clubs. I mean, whatever you used to like at home that will give you calm to your soul and body, go ahead and look for that right when the first day. Look, okay, this is something I might need. Even though you don't go right now, I know isn't there.
So I can actually liken this to when I go back to where I grew up and I stay for an extended period where I like my routine. So I go and find the yoga studios and the fitness studios. I've been doing so much recently where I know where they are, but this is true with any travel. So if you're a new student, you're going to a place, this is a place where you're having an extended stay, but you need to find a way to make it your home, and you're never going to feel comfortable if you don't find a way to incorporate those things that bring you comfort. So that's a beautiful point.
And then, for example, let's talk about church again. You find a church that you go to, or a mosque, or whatever religion you practice, and then you're going to also find connection. So it's going to help your stress, it's going to help your connection, and you might even meet someone there,
Yes. Or yoga, if you have a yoga practice, there's classes that are on site.
Again, like a club or something that you used to do, try to find that in your new place.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And then that brings us to healthy relationships and social connection. So the data that we gave at the very beginning, the statistic about 35% of people not feeling like they belong at college. Now, it's great that 65%, and this is not necessarily 100% accurate. This is based on 2024 data. But that means that a lot of people are struggling. And you brought up a beautiful point about like the more we can discuss it, the more open we can be in conversation, the easier it is.
And then another thing with the newer generations, they might be used to connect via the phone, not very used to be, like in person connection. So some might be a stretch for many of those kids too. And they have to acknowledge, and this is a stretch. And then sometimes they might need counseling, or they might need some help or some tutoring or some mentorship.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And that is okay.
So one piece of data as to it's an opportunity to connect with humans as opposed to on media platforms, and that is what college, especially if you have the traditional experience where you're living in the dorm. So there is a statistic that I came upon it's about loneliness and social media use. And if you were engaging in between 16 and 20 hours of media use a week, there was a 19% higher chance that you would feel loneliness. And then if you engage in 30 or more hours a week in social media, on social media platforms, there's a 38% higher odds that you are lonely. And most people are in that higher category. Many of these students are in that higher category. So,
and the thing is that they think because they're connecting with other people, they think it's the same, but it's definitely not the same.
Well, it goes back to the in-person, finding those in-person opportunities to engage. And maybe it's something like going to the library or forming a study group for a class.
Yes.
Even if you don't feel like you necessarily need it from a study standpoint, having that, even we're going to XYZ coffee shop and we're all going to study together.
Your tribe. Look for.
Exactly.
And then it might not be, it's going to be trial and error. So, no, this person was not what I was thinking. Fine, it's going to happen. That doesn't mean that it's not out there.
Yeah.
So you just keep trying.
And for parents, this is a hard thing because I think you want to say, what's wrong? How can I solve it?
Yes.
Many parents do. Like, why don't you have friends? Oh, you have friends? Okay, you're good. But listening to the nuances is really important.
That put more pressure.
Yeah, exactly. And, do you feel like you belong? And then maybe coming up with some suggestions similar to what we were suggesting. You know your kid best. You know what they love.
Or asking them, what do you think? I mean, put those wheels to think if they haven't done that by themselves. Instead of giving them an array of solutions that they might or might not receive well, because no, they're the CEOs.
Yeah, they are.
So thinking, okay, what do you think? I mean, I wonder, what do you think? What activities? Remember that you like this thing? Remember that? I wonder, what do you think it might be there?
So
just putting the ball on their court.
Many moons ago when I went to college, when I first entered college, and I don't know that they do this at all universities, but they provided us before we went a personality test. But the interesting thing about the personality test is it told you what you might be interested in doing as other, social engagement and community sort of.
Give you the options.
Yeah,
That's cool.
And it may be something that you can find online to do.
Yes.
Okay, and this is an important one. While we're starting to run short on time, but we really need to address the alcohol and substance use because this is a really challenging issue.
Yeah, and it contributes to not just injuries, car accidents, sexual assault, poor sleep, weight gain, missed classes, lower GPA. So it affects everything that they're there to begin with, and then more,
And actually exacerbates stress. And, I've heard from people that I know that are in this age group that there's a pressure if you are in the drinking group or the substance use group, and then there's a pressure if you're not.
Absolutely.
And so on both sides of the coin, it's a challenging position to be in. So we're not discounting the fact that this is challenging, but it also is an opportunity to think of what does drinking or XYZ substance do to enhance my life? Does it enhance my life?
Does it?
Yeah. And, that's a question to ask yourself.
And then, how do you feel around that group? Just, again, pausing and thinking, how do I feel when I am doing this? Or does this people have the same values that I have? Is that something that I want for myself? And it might be a difficult decision to isolate if that's not it. But that doesn't mean there is other kids in campus that are thinking just the same way you are.
Exactly. I think a good litmus test is, let's say you are part of a group that drinks socially or even beyond. If you can go and engage with them when you're not drinking and still enjoy them,
Exactly.
then that is a sign that they are your tribe. If you go and you really can only socialize and have commonality with that substance, that's a challenge.
That's correct.
So we need to skip the moral framework from a parental standpoint, and then from a independent standpoint, and think about, what role does this substance, this alcohol, play in my life?
Yeah.
And is it
the only way that I can socialize with other people?
Yeah.
Then why?
exactly? So those are deep questions to ask, but they're
Yeah.
important questions
Yes.
to ask, even before you get to college.
I was gonna say that it's important to think, and this is why we would like to speak with these kids ahead before they go. That try to ask these questions before, just because it's gonna happen, and you're gonna be exposed to that. So you'll get at least prepared to that this is something.
So this is we're nearing the last of our challenges and opportunities, and this speaks to the core of what Dr. Yolanda and I teach on, we educate on. Purpose and plans is our collaborative business, and purpose is something that, regardless of your age, drives your success throughout the course of your life. When you can draw a purpose to a reason why you're doing something, so the why behind what you're doing on a daily basis, you're more inclined to succeed and find joy and happiness.
Purpose is crucial, is to happiness, to find happiness in life at all ages.
And it might be a moving target.
Oh, yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
It's not like
Oh,
you have
100%.
one purpose.
Yes.
Depending on
100%.
where you are in your life stage, it
Yes.
might be different. And your purpose going to college might be to explore and to make new connections. But
And then some kids might think, for example, even the career that they chose, they might change to, drastically from because they start learning about themselves and what their purpose in life.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Well-
and that's something that it should be okay.
absolutely. And, knowing that the prefrontal lobe is not fully developed yet, that means that we should if we're a parent, we should give our kids a little bit more leeway when it comes to making some course corrections and changes
Exactly.
as far as their purpose.
Yes.
So students with a stronger sense of purpose and campus belonging consistently show greater resilience and persistence through difficult semesters. And we all have our difficult phases in life. So this is really important. It protects health and behavior, and it will help to protect your sleep and movement habits.
Absolutely. And then even kids that go to college not knowing what they want. Like, I'm going to college, I'm not sure what am I going to do. Even then, just think it's like an open canvas. This is a blank canvas that I'm going to be exploring what is it that I want and learning. And so see it as an opportunity rather than it's an obstacle. It's just
absolutely.
It might reframing it and shifting in mindset.
Well, and all of this is an opportunity for kids to figure out who they really are, and then also what their boundaries are in a healthy way. And it's a obstacle and an opportunity for parents as well.
Yes.
Absolutely,
to learn about and even about themselves. Because sometimes we learn, as we go about who we are ourselves as parents, as humans, and we learn about our kids.
Well, and parents, if you're listening to us and joining us, we understand that you lose the ability to see your child right in front of you and what's happening, which can feel like you're totally losing control. In truth, you don't really have control anyway, but in the end, it's something where we need to be a foundation. There to support and ask the right questions with less judgment.
Yes, that's sometimes hard for the parents.
Yes, exactly. So just having a check-in with your kids where you're asking real questions without the judgment,
Mm-hmm.
I think is a really important
With
thing.
curiosity.
Curiosity, yes.
Yeah.
So you can shape new communication pathways that are a little bit more mature and adult. So I think in the interest of time, we've got a recap on some of the most important things. We'll leave those in a link on the show notes as well. Is there anything that you want to point out that we did not review?
No, I think if we start seeing it, we meaning the kids, the parents, that this is a time of opportunity and exploration and getting to know and seeing it with curiosity rather than a fixed mindset that this is how it should be, and or that was my experience or that was not my experience and this is what I want for my kid. Thinking this is what I'm thinking, thinking about our thinking.
Yes, thinking about our thinking.
Yeah,
That is,
it might be very valuable to understand that this is where these emotions are coming from, and then talking to the kids. Oh, I'm afraid. I'm concerned about this and that. Talk about it. I think it's valuable.
Absolutely. So as we said, we have a step-by-step pillar, challenge, and solution that we'll have in the show notes. And then we'll also be doing an extended workshop where we are reviewing some detailed things that you can do when you're transitioning to dorm life, and how to set up your sleep and movement and mindset and nourishment to really succeed with less struggle and floundering. So join us for that. There'll be more details on that. We just can't thank you enough for trusting us and joining us to allow us to share some of the things that can make your life healthier and happier now.
Yes, if you know somebody that might need this, please forward that to them and let them know that we're here.
Yes. Well, cheers to a bright new chapter for all these new
Yes,
students
it's
and the
exciting.
new parents. And we cannot wait to see you for the next episode. Check the show notes for all other details.
Thank you so much.